Hey guys, it's Paul with PJ Test Prep here, giving you guys a few last minute Desmos calculator tips as you get ready for your upcoming SAT here. The Desmos is a super powerful tool, of course, as you guys know, capable of all sorts of fun stuff that you can use to shortcut questions and get things a little easier, even get some problems you couldn't have gotten right otherwise. Obviously, it can do basic things like, any calculations. We don't need much advice on that. You don't even have to hit enter here. By the way, I'm using the Desmos graphing calculator online rather than the one plugged into the Blue Book just for speed of being able to copy things in, but it's a very similar interface. And one thing I do want to show you here on the calculation front is this functions button, where you can do all kinds of fun things from sine, cosine, tangent stuff. There's all kinds of statistics and operators and distribution stuff that we would never have to actually do on the SAT. It's far beyond the scope, but one that's kind of useful here is the mean. We're looking at a question here like number 7, rather than having to add all these up and divide by how many there are the usual way. This one's not too bad. Oh, I missed a 12 here. Doesn't have to go in order though. You can just simply type these in and you'll get your answer here. So it saves you a little bit of time on statistic or arithmetic type problems there for this one. We all know that the Desmos can also be used for graphing, or at least those of you in my class certainly know that. If we had a question like this one, where they're asking for the maximum value of this inverted parabola, rather than using vertex form to figure out the vertex of this and see how high it can go, you can actually just like plop this thing right into your calculator here. So just copy it in or type it in. They unfortunately copy it right into the test. You do want to make sure that you have this as a square and not as a 2 randomly sitting there. But if you just enter this, as you can see, we've got the same formula here, then you just, scroll in and just point at the thing here. You can click on it if it's not coming up naturally, but it looks like our maximum value will be negative 2.75. Do be careful on problems like this. Sometimes they like to trick you by asking, what is the x value where the parabola is at maximum, in which case the answer would be negative 1.5. But here they're just asking for the maximum value, so that is going to be negative 2.75. If you have a problem like this, number 18, this looks a little ugly in the system of equations above. For what integer value of k does the system have no solution? We teach this in our systems of equations unit here. You could, of course, rearrange so that the x and the y's are kind of lined up with each other, and then do the algebraic way of trying to figure out what would make both the x and the y disappear. However, you can also just straight up toss these into your grapher and figure out what the intersection point would be. There's a really cool slider function on here. So let's put the first equation in. 2x plus y equals 8. And then let's plug the second one in with the k in it. And you'll see something interesting that happens here. If you put a k in, or any letter, I mean, it could be j or k, since that's what it actually is, it'll offer you the value of adding a slider, which is a super useful tool, because now you can just rotate this sucker until it actually is parallel. Now notice it says integer value. The 6 looks pretty good. How do I know it's not 5.6 other than, let's look a little closer. Let's maximize this. It does look a little bit loppy there, like it might hit eventually, but it's also an integer. So we can't go to like 6.1 or anything like that. And of course, anything way over here is going to be way out. So looks like our answer is 6. And you can, of course, test that if you wanted by just going back in here and replacing the 6 with an x, or the x with a 6, and then getting rid of your slider. And that looks pretty good there. So that's going to be our answer for this one. Perhaps faster way than doing the algebra. And finally, the things that this sucker can graph. By the way, in your calculator, it's very hard to graph things like in number 18 or in this 21, a circle, because circles on an old-timey graphing calculator, like call them old-timey, we still use them today. But a TI-82, you're going to have to get this into y equals mx plus b format, or excuse me, that's the lines, but y equals format. Here you don't have to. You can just graph this thing as it is written. So once again, let me paste it in and fix my fix my exponents. Should be as exponents, or we're going to get something very strange here. It's like some kind of boomerang hyperbola looking shape here. So here we've got our circle. There it is. If I want to find the center of this, I mean, I can go to the top point and say, okay, -2, 6, and this is -2, 0. So probably it's going to be 3. But you can also just sort of eyeball the answers on this because, look, -12 is way out. You might think it is something like -12 if you had your circle formula wrong and you thought this -12 right there was part of the answer for the shift. But no, this would need to be to do this algebraically, you'd have to divide everything by 2 and then complete both sets of squares in order to find the, well, I guess y coordinate to find the y. But there's a whole, algebraic process involved. This is a 21 from a hard set of the math, and it might be a little tedious to complete both squares, even if you remembered how to do that. But with your grapher, you can just bang the sucker right in there and look at it. They're at 3. Obviously, it's not 12. That's way too high. -12, -6 is down the other way. So there's lots of cool ways you can do this. You don't have to have it be y equals or f of x equal. You can just enter these equations as they are. Lots of fun things here in this Desmos for you guys to try when you get a chance. So test this out. Take it for a test run on one of your Blue Book tests or just even on the Desmos website and see if that helps you guys. Good luck and learn from the test.